This building in Hastings may not look much at the moment, but it's at the heart of a multi-million-pound community-led regeneration of Hastings town centre.
We have raised here more than £30 million.
The fact that it's community-led has been key to its success.
Because when you're doing neighbourhood transformation, you are changing everything, which means you are working for everyone, which means that you're doing heritage, you're doing youth, you're doing older people's loneliness, and that means you can sell yourself to almost any funder.
Their experience holds valuable lessons for Frome and the Mayday Saxonvale team who've come here to see for themselves.
This is the Observer Building roof, and we've now got the money to do all the decking, the balustrading, turn this building here into a bar and build another storey on top of there with a little roof terrace which will look out over Hastings Castle and over the sea. So we're starting that next month. It will be ready next summer, and we're already taking bookings.
Jess Steele has led the Hastings project from day one.
So these are all our Hastings Commons buildings at the moment.
What Mayday will learn here is just how viable and achievable the Mayday Saxonvale plans are. A community-led regeneration of Frome Town Centre.
The money will come if you've got the ownership and you've got the permissions, and most importantly you've got the strong value-led story to tell that is about what it is you're trying to achieve. You will be in a very good position to receive grants, loans, social investment, etc.
Our core scheme does not rely on grant funding whatsoever, and it's primarily funded by retaining developer profits that would normally leave the scheme and keeping it within Saxonvale to deliver those things that the town needs. High levels of affordable housing, a high quality build, and a large amount of commercial space, over 10,000 square metres, and a proportion of which would be owned by the community as community assets. So that's without any grant funding at all. But what Hastings Commons show is that if you put yourself in the right position, then there's every chance, in fact you'd probably say it's likely, that we will be able to get substantial grant funding to go much further.
This building, the Observer, is the old printworks. It used to be at the heart of Hastings, much like Saxonvale.
This building is the heart of the F.J. Parsons newspaper empire. This was run by a family business, and it felt like a family. We've spoken to many of the people who used to work here, or whose parents and grandparents used to work here. They say Frederick Parsons was running the biggest marriage bureau in town. People would start here as an apprentice. They would often meet their partner, their husband or wife here.
In much the same way, Saxonvale was the main employment site for Frome, with Knott's Industries and Busman Cooper, for example. These were the beating hearts of the community, key to the culture of the town.
It is rebuilding a community that existed before, that got destroyed by technological change and then was kept down by dereliction. What we're trying to do is really invest in the place, and that means helping people build relationships, because at the end of the day, relationships is what makes the place regenerative. It makes it capable of looking after itself long into the future. Well, I mentioned the values. The values are really important. What we're trying to do is something very different from what ordinary developers do. We're not speculating, we're not extracting value, we are building value with people, the people who are already here, rather than trying to import gentrification. And we're doing that in a way that is holistic. So it's about where they live, how they live. It's about young people, older people, families, single people, lonely people, skilled people, people who need skills, lots of different types of people, and seeing all those people as assets.
What's remarkable is that Hastings Commons have achieved all of this without any support from Hastings Borough Council. Like Mayday Saxonvale, it's a bottom-up approach led by the community. And that's something councils are just not used to.
The issue for a lot of councils is that they're very risk averse, so getting them to try something different is always scary for them, because they have a lot of scrutiny, and rightly so, because it's public money. So they need to be certain that they'll get a success. And even though actually lots of developers fall on their faces. The perception is that, oh, well, they've done it before, they know what they're doing, and the community it's always a bit risky working with the community. You don't quite know what they're going to do. It's community-led, how we build stuff up from the bottom up. We've had years of regeneration, top down. It failed. There's a lot to learn from that. And we need more models, we need more different models so that councils can feel like they don't have to go down the handing it all over to a private developer, that they can find partnership ways of working with the community. And we need to try stuff.
It's not developer-led slash and burn regeneration that just comes in and says, oh, we'll clear all this out and put something new and valuable in its place. It's done in the fabric, so it's community-led, heritage-focused, focused on what are we inheriting in this town and how can we gently improve it and make it useful and more productive for local people.
And part of the way that works is this: cross-subsidising. For example, the profit from the rentals pay for this community use centre. It's a model that's at the heart of Mayday Saxonvale's plans for Frome. But as for getting there, nothing was pre-planned. Uncertainty has been the key at the heart of its success.
We have raised here more than £30 million. If you'd asked me at the beginning, can you raise £30 million, I would have said, no way. Of course we can't. But you can. You just have to be willing to know that you don't have it yet and to live with that uncertainty of not having it all yet and to keep taking the steps forward.
So nothing was predetermined. The growth is organic. It's being bottoms up.
That actually works really well, to have people join you as you go along, rather than to somehow get everything set up before you open the door.
But will it work for Frome? Can Mayday Saxonvale deliver?
I think there's no reason to be nervous about this model. Yes, it's innovative, but we are working with our development partners who have massive amounts of regeneration experience. Indeed, the CEO was partly responsible for the regeneration of King's Cross. We have the external funding to buy the site. We have the external funding to fund the development. And we have the professional team around us to deliver. We obviously also expect that we'll be able to go even further and bring in additional grant funding externally. And yes, there's a level of uncertainty around that, but everything's uncertain ultimately. The question is whether you're going to go for every opportunity to try and make the most of this site and not start with the minimum and just give up at that point.
Stories is their development partner. Their CEO, Paul Clark, is also here today.
5 holes in the cliff.
We are a small development company, but like I said, we are purpose-led, so we only take on projects where we believe there's a higher purpose than just profit. Developers are notorious for taking a short-term view, and that's why we love working with community groups, long-term institutions, because these people care about the outcomes more than any developer could possibly do.
King's Cross was just one of the many projects they've been involved with across the country.
Were created about 5 years ago by a group of, I'd like to think, quite experienced people working on some significant projects, including King's Cross in London, which would be quite well known to people, but also house builders. We've been involved in government departments, local authorities, and really have seen and delivered projects over an extended period of time. We own the business, we don't report to anyone, we have no shareholders ourselves. In Saxonvale, we are the preferred development partner to Mayday. Our goal would be to be supportive over the long term in the role of development manager. And what that means is we are trying actively to minimise our commercial footprint on any project that we do. And in this case, it will be trying to actually support the community to raise the funds in their own way and try to remove the reliance on private development equity, fundamentally. So how do we create the conditions to maximise the retention of value in that community? It might sound counterintuitive, but we know through our experience that's how good things happen.
In the very near future, Somerset County Council, who own Saxonvale, will be deciding whether to sell the site to Mayday or to Acorn Property Group. Hastings has this message for Somerset County Council.
How successful do they think the standard approach to providing what people need is affordable housing, really great places? How good are we at the moment at that? Rubbish. The answer to that is we are so bad at it. Our society is in such a bad state. Our housing is in crisis. People are in crisis. So unless we're willing to look at alternatives, we are going to be reinventing the same thing over and over again.
Hastings and many other projects across the country show how community regeneration really works.
We'd be well on our way to having a huge range of community assets owned by Frome in perpetuity, put to use for the town's needs forever. And that's just such an exciting prospect and an opportunity we have to try and go for.